We are currently living through one of the most silent, tragic, and widespread epidemics in human history. It isn't a physical disease, but a psychological paralysis. It is a condition that leaves millions of people completely frozen in place, watching their lives slip away through their fingers while they wait for a rescue that is never going to come. Carl Jung and his closest students identified this specific paralysis decades ago. They called it the archetype of the puer aeternus, the eternal boy. The eternal boy is the individual who grows older in body but remains completely arrested in adolescence in spirit. It is the person who treats life as an endless dress rehearsal, constantly saying, "I will start tomorrow. I will build my business next year. I will get in shape when conditions are perfect." They live in a permanent state of potential, completely terrified of making a definitive choice because choice requires commitment, and commitment kills the fantasy of endless options. If you are constantly waiting for the perfect moment to step into your power, listen to me very carefully. You are sleeping while your house is burning down. The trap of endless potential. The eternal boy loves the dream but despises the execution. Why? Because the dream is safe. In your mind, you can be a titan, a master of your craft, a person of absolute discipline and magnetic presence. But the moment you step onto the battlefield of reality, you have to face your limitations. You have to face the friction of hard work, the pain of failure, and the cold reality of slow progress. To protect their fragile egos, the modern individual retreats into comfort. They distract themselves with cheap dopamine, endless digital entertainment, and comfortable excuses. But Jung warned us that a life lived entirely in the imagination is a form of psychological suicide. When you refuse to sacrifice your potential to buy reality, you become a permanent spectator in your own life. You look at people who are succeeding and you tell yourself, "I could do that if I really tried." But you aren't trying, and that realization creates a deep, subconscious rot, a heavy layer of guilt and anxiety that follows you into every room you enter. Slaying the tyrant of comfort. To break this curse, you must undergo a psychological crucifixion. You must be willing to let the boy inside you die so that the mature, sovereign individual can finally be born. In ancient times, cultures understood this transition perfectly. They didn't just hope a boy would become a man, they forced him through brutal rituals of initiation. They took him away from the comfort of his home, isolated him in the wilderness, and made him face his deepest fears. They broke his dependency on comfort so he could discover his inner steel. Today, we have no such rituals. We have replaced initiation with comfortable cocoons. Therefore, you must become your own initiator. You must ruthlessly examine your daily habits and ask yourself, are my choices being made by a sovereign master, or are they being dictated by a lazy, frightened child who is terrified of discomfort? When you choose sleep over the gym, that is the boy. When you choose scrolling over building your future, that is the boy. When you blame your parents, your past, or your circumstances for why you aren't where you want to be, you are playing the victim. It is time to draw a line in the sand and execute the excuses. Awakening the wise sovereign. On the other side of the dead boy lies the archetype of the wise sovereign, the internal king. This is the part of your psyche that Jung recognized as the ultimate authority. The sovereign does not seek validation from the crowd. The sovereign does not run from chaos, he organizes it. He looks at a crisis and sees a canvas upon which to paint his order. When you speak to yourself from the place of the sovereign, your language changes completely. You stop saying, "I hope things get better," and you start saying, "I will make it so." You stop wishing for a lighter burden, and you start building a stronger back. The wise sovereign understands that discipline is not a prison. It is the ultimate form of freedom. A person who cannot control their own impulses is not free. They are a slave to their baseline desires. True freedom is the ability to command yourself to do what needs to be done, precisely when it needs to be done, regardless of how you emotionally feel in that microsecond.
Claim your destiny. Your time on this earth is a finite, rapidly ticking clock. You do not have the luxury of treating your life like an endless rehearsal. The version of you that is capable of greatness is not waiting for a magical alignment of the stars. It is waiting for your permission. Stop waiting for someone to hand you the keys to your kingdom. The crown of your potential is sitting in the dark, waiting for you to have the courage to reach down, pick it up, and place it on your own head. For the next 4 days, run an experiment of absolute psychological sovereignty. Watch your thoughts like a hawk. The moment the voice of the eternal boy rises to offer you an excuse, a delay, or a comfortable lie, crush it without mercy. Speak to yourself with the clinical authority of a leader who has a world to conquer. The door to your true destiny is open, but you cannot walk through it, carrying the baggage of your past laziness. Let the boy die today. Step into the arena of your life, claim your absolute authority, and become the unshakable ruler of your own mind. Thank you.